Sometimes you hear a phrase again and again, and it makes a kind of a rhythm that sticks in your head. That's what happened to me when I heard this phrase that seems to turn up in news reports and television all the time. And it's a phrase that has stuck in the throat of the English language. The first part of this poem is made up of things that people actually said. Speech balloon. The Liverpool boss was pretty chuffed with himself, said the news report, for being so tough when he decided to snub the obvious choice and go instead for the goal machine. I'm over the moon, they said, he said. I'm over the moon, he said. The Barnsley manager was lost for words to describe his feelings when Chelsea fell to the Tykes. We played fantastic. I never thought we'd do it again, but we did. And all I can say is, I'm over the moon, they said, he said. I'm over the moon, he said. The Hollywood mum was way beyond thrilled, according to friends, when she delivered into the world not one bouncing baby, but twins instead, to the astonished dad. And I'm over the moon, they said, she said. I'm over the moon, she said. Bollywood's hottest couple was proud to be blessed by the jubilant father, the superstar. It's a match made in heaven, he said to the press, between two shooting stars with shining careers. And I'm over the moon, of course, he said. I'm over the moon, he said. The Malaysian nation went mad with joy on Independence Day in its 50th year when a doctor-cum-part-time model, a local boy, went up into space and in zero gravity performed his namaz. All of Malaysia over the moon, they said on the news, 27 million people over the moon. You must have noticed. It's really quite clear. This condition has spread. It's happening there. It's happening here. It's full-blown, grown beyond every border to the furthest corner of every country where English is spoken or English is known. There's no one just satisfied or mildly pleased or chipper or chirpy, contented or cheerful. No one glad or gratified, delighted or jubilant, elated, ecstatic, joyful or gleeful. All the happy people have left this world. You won't come across them anytime soon. And if it's happy sound bites you're looking for, you need to look way over your head for the words and balloons to the place where the cow keeps jumping over and over with all the footballers, team managers and lottery winners, world superstars, heroes and champions and legends and lovers and proud mums and dads and the whole of Malaysia over the moon, over the moon, over the moon. Dealing with the devil. Arshad said his uncle from Bradford switched off the TV set one day, right in front of the children's faces in the middle of Jay-Z, dragged it out, smashed the screen, and carted the corpse away to the dump, leaving them sitting there, the world cast out, all chatter exorcised. Arif, Zubaydah, open-mouthed Nasreen, their faces left quite bare as if they'd been pulled off. One devil had been dealt with. You have to start somewhere, Arshad's uncle said. Trust. On the taxi and the truck, careening to meet each other over miles of tar and dust, ride the words, "In God we trust." It acts as a good luck charm, even when it's phrased as a command or a request. Horn please, okay? And do not kiss. This is the best that God can do, offer a hope of being singled out and blessed, while men insist that God is great, and hurtle optimistically to meet their fate. Parda. One day, they said she was old enough to learn some shame. She found it came quite naturally. Parda is a kind of safety. The body finds a place to hide. The cloth fans out against the skin, much like the earth that falls on coffins after they put the dead men in. People she has known stand up, sit down as they have always done. But they make different angles in the light, their eyes aslant, a little sly. She half remembers things from someone else's life, perhaps from yours or mine, carefully carrying what we do not own. Between the thighs, a sense of sin. We sit still, letting the cloth grow a little closer to our skin. A light filters inward through our body's walls. Voices speak inside us, echoing in the spaces we have just left. She stands outside herself, sometimes in all four corners of a room. Wherever she goes, she's always inching past herself, as if she were a clod of earth, and the roots as well, scratching for a hold between the first and second rib, passing constantly out of her own hands into the corner of someone else's eyes, while doors keep opening inward and again inward. A century later, the school bell is a call to battle. Every step to class, a step into the firing line. Here is the target, fine skin at the temple, cheek still rounded from being 15. Surrendered, surrounded, she takes a bullet in the head and walks on. The missile cuts a pathway in her mind to an orchard in full bloom, a field humming under the sun, its lap open and full of poppies. This girl has won the right to be ordinary, wear bangles to a wedding, paint her fingernails, go to school. Bullet, she says, you are stupid. You have failed. You cannot kill a book or the buzzing in it. A murmur, a swarm. Behind her, one by one, the schoolgirls are standing up to take their places on the front line. I grew up in Glasgow, and my father was always very proud of fitting in with local habits and customs, but he was especially proud of speaking the language like a local. Chaudhry Sher Mubarak looks at the loch. Light shakes out the dish rag sky and scatters the water with sequins. Look, hen, says my father, Loch Lomond, as if it were all his doing, as if he owned it. Laird of Lomond, laird of the language. He's proud to say hen, and even more loch, with an och, not an och, to speak proper Glaswegian like a true-born Scot. And he makes the right sound at the back of the throat because he can say hush and khwab and khamosh, because the sounds for happy and dream are the words that swim in the water for him. So he says it again. Hen, look, the loch. All the time I was growing up in Glasgow, I was sure that real life was going on somewhere else, in some other country, some other place where I was not. And when I met my husband, Simon Powell, he said he felt exactly the same growing up in Wales. So this one is called In Wales, Wanting to be Italian. And please excuse my imaginary German. Is there a name for that thing you do when you're young? There must be a word for it in some language, probably German. Or if not, it's just asking to be made up. Something like fremd, landisch, Gehör und Lust. Or perhaps ein so man, das Land, Gehör und Wunsch. What is it called? Living in Glasgow, dying to be French, dying to shrug and pout and make yourself understood without saying a word. Have you ever felt like that? Being in Bombay, wanting to declare like Freddie Mercury that you are from somewhere like Zanzibar. What is that called? Being 16 in Wales, longing to be Italian, to be able to say aloud without embarrassment, Bella, Bella, lounge by a Vespa, with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, and wear impossibly pointed shoes? Simon was a great talker, and I often found him talking to himself if there was no one else around. I'd hear him gently scolding his motorbike wheels, or talking to a saw or a drill, or arguing over an electric bill. Undone. That tongue of yours is silver when you speak, and silver when the speaking's done. Those eyes have a look that turns my quick to silver and proves my body's not my own, but away on loan to your fingers, bold in their skillful wheeling and their dealing. Your mouth, the alchemist, I'm gold, blown through the eggshell of the ceiling into a clear Murano sky. All that goes with me is the scent of you, which could be the scent of me, for there is no I or you, flung as we are to glassy blue. See how well I'm undone with one touch of your silenced silver tongue. Sometimes you struggle with a poem for a long time and it doesn't come. This one, I wanted to write a dream where Simon came back after he died, but it didn't work, and I tried for months and months, nothing happened. But at some point I wanted to write a sonnet, and suddenly the dream appeared in the middle of the sonnet, and there was something about the formality of the sonnet, the structure, that allowed the dream to take its place there. The trick. In a wasted time, it's only when I sleep that all my senses come awake. In the wake of you, let day not break. Let me keep the scent, the weight, the bright of you. Take the countless hours and count them all night through, till that time comes when you come to the door of dreams, carrying oranges that cast a glow up into your face. Greedy for more than the gift of seeing you, I lean in to taste the color, kiss it off your offered mouth. For this I fall asleep in haste, willing to fall for the trick that tells the truth, that even your shade makes darkest absence bright, that shadows live wherever there is light. And I'll end with this poem called This Tide of Humber. If you come to the edge of the world, you need to be ready to throw away the part of your ticket that says return, along with the plans you made and the life you once had. They will say you went somewhere, who knows where, and stayed. If you have strayed to this end of the world, it's not because you've been here before or come back to the door of a lover. You never sat here together, never sipped wine or held hands on that bench or kissed by this river. You have no history with Hull, this tide of Humber, but you know the vast grief of the sky, the scavenger's hunger, its insatiable cry. If you have come to write the hurt out of your heart, to take the ache and heal it with words, leave now. No scratching in dead poets' bins can turn gone into come or become. Come with a stranger's heart, wiped clean, to a city that hangs on the sea by a hook, holds on hard to the edge of luck, and luck could be just a fingernail or a sail or a book, the swish of turbines turning in rain, its hiss on pavements, its shimmer dropped like a plumb line down through underground layers, the slip of mud, the slap of the sea. If you come here, you see the mud as a person washed up on the shore, a body smoothed and shaped, stroked from calf to thigh to nape. The taker and giver make themselves up out of each other. Water fingers linger in the deepest folds, limbs open and close back into the river. An arm or a leg or a hip heave out from under the sheet. The lifted mud is only a hint of the lost land beneath, between the shorelines that yearn for each other. Water and mud, mud and water, intricate lovers. You stand here and hope that a hand will lift out of a wave to you from that weather-drowned land. Even your stranger's feet remember pacing the ground under the water, the tracks of women and men crisscrossing over ice and drought, through storm and calm, hunting the sun and rain scents on the wind. You were never looking for ghosts, but they find you here. The rustling, the breathing, the music of travellers takes you out where the land would have been, walked over, washed away, rolled in. It holds your stranger's body, folds it in arms of mud, and the gulls walk over your heart, over and over, return, repeat, on hieroglyph feet. Between the widowed face of the sky and the ringed eye of a gull, everything changes scale. A blade of grass is a turbine wing that lifts to the light as a fish gleams under the blade of an oar, like a shoulder blade kissed by the moon. And the land wears the water like a shining veil, and the water bears the moon like a sacred jewel, and the heart is a fish, and luck is the hook that flicks it up between water and land, between Humber and Hull, and holds it there at the edge of the world.